Have you ever noticed how they tell us to study, work hard, and pay the bills? But no one ever teaches us how to make money work for us. The truth is harsh and maybe a bit uncomfortable. The system doesn't want you to understand money. 'Cause once you do, you set yourself free. And when you're free, you stop settling for less. You stop being just another gear in the machine and start becoming the owner of it. They taught you about mitochondria in school, but never explained what net worth really means. No one ever warned you that credit cards can be a silent trap, or that buying a brand new car could delay your freedom by a whole decade. They made you believe investing was only for rich people, and that personal finance was boring. They lied. And today, you're going to find out why. This video isn't just another piece of content about personal finance. It's a hands-on, straight-to-the-point guide, built by someone who lived it, studied the financial elite, and translated all of it into a roadmap for real people who want to change their lives. Here you'll learn how to build a yearly plan, get out of debt, set clear short, mid, and long-term goals, create a customized investment strategy, and finally stop just surviving around money. If you're tired of feeling lost at the end of every month, and you want to understand how to reach financial independence without magic formulas, empty promises, or flashy Instagram gurus, this video is going to open your mind and give you something most people never had: a real plan. But before you hit play, let me give you a heads up. After these 54 minutes, you won't be able to unsee what you've seen. What you choose to do with it is entirely up to you. Understanding your financial now. Picture this. A sailor lost at sea. No compass, no North Star, no idea where they are. That's exactly how it feels to go through life without ever truly looking at your financial situation. The first step in financial education isn't $1 million investment or some out-of-this-world passive income. It's clarity. Clarity about your net income. Clarity about those invisible expenses that eat away at your month like termites in an old piece of furniture. And most of all, clarity about whether you're living in surplus or deficit. Don't be fooled. Plenty of high earners are still broke simply because they've never done the math properly. Have you ever actually stopped to calculate exactly how much comes in and how much goes out each year? Saying, "Yeah, I kinda know," doesn't cut it. People who take charge of their finances don't guess. They work with real numbers. They know exactly how much they make, how much they spend on rent, food, takeout, transportation, insurance, medicine, streaming, credit cards, and how much is left at the end of the month. In other words, they do a financial X-ray. And that's when the truth hits. Are you building wealth? Or just staying busy trying to survive? This is where it either starts working or starts falling apart. But here's the good news. When you finally see things clearly, you can turn chaos into strategy. Most people avoid this step because they're afraid of what they'll find. Now let's take it further. How much are you really worth, financially speaking? The magic number here is your net worth. The difference between everything you own, your savings, car, investments, property, and everything you owe, debts, loans, credit cards, financing. If it's positive, congrats, you've got a foundation. If it's negative, don't stress. Plenty of millionaires started there too. The point is to know where you are on the map. Because you can't plan your destination if you don't know your starting point. So do the math today. Grab a piece of paper, a pen, or open a spreadsheet, and write down your assets and liabilities. That number doesn't define your worth as a person, but it does define the strategy you'll need moving forward. And here's something hardly anyone talks about. Your financial personality might be speeding you up, or sabotaging everything. That's right. Your relationship with money shapes your decisions more than you realize. Are you the type who lives in the moment and spends impulsively? A planner who saves every penny? Someone who loves experiences and prefers to enjoy life now? Understanding your profile, whether you're a visionary, minimalist, realist, experience-driven, or a mix, helps you build a financial plan that actually fits you. Because there's no point in creating a super strict system if it doesn't match your personality. In this case, self-awareness is worth more than 1,000 spreadsheets. To make it easier, there are free tests online that can reveal your financial personality in just a few minutes. And based on that, you can start tweaking your habits. For example, a visionary should focus more on goal setting and financial forecasting, while a social spender might need to find ways to balance pleasure with long-term safety. And that's the beauty of personalized money management. Instead of being trapped in a rigid system, you build one that works for you. And from this point forward, from your strategy to your financial freedom, everything starts with a solid, grounded foundation. Because now, you finally know where you're standing. The debt payoff strategy. Debt itself isn't the villain in this story. What really holds you back from financial freedom is how you deal with it. There's a huge difference between good debt and bad debt. Good debt. That's the kind that expands your ability to earn more in the future, like a degree, an MBA, or even a mortgage on a property that increases in value. Bad debt. That's the sneaky kind. It looks harmless. A small installment here, a maxed out credit card there, a buy now, pay later option that sounds innocent enough. And when you least expect it, negative compound interest starts burying you alive. No mercy. That's why, before anything else, you need to treat your debt like a battle plan. You can't just keep living life without a clear strategy. Step 1. Write it all down. Every debt you owe. Total amount, interest rate, monthly payments, due dates, everything. From the smallest to the biggest. This is what we call financial clarity. Once you have that, you've got two main strategies to choose from. The avalanche method. The snowball method. If your goal is to save more in the long run, go with the avalanche. Start paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first. But if you need quick wins and some emotional relief, go with the snowball. Tackle the smallest debt first and build momentum. The key here is simple, just start. And please don't treat your credit card like a paycheck. That's a major trap. Use it as a tool, not an extension of your income. Here's the golden rule. Only spend on credit what you already have in your debit account. If you wouldn't pay for it in full today, don't buy it in installments. Used wisely, a credit card can give you cash back, travel points, perks. Used recklessly, it locks you into a cycle that kills your dreams. If you're carrying a big balance, look into transferring it to a card with lower interest or even a 0% intro rate. That breathing room can be a game changer. Want a practical example? Let's say you've got 3 debts. A $600 with 15% interest per month. A $1,000 at 10%. $3,000 at 3%. The avalanche method would tell you to tackle the $600 one first, because of the brutal interest. The snowball method would say the same, because it's also the smallest. In this case, both methods align. But that's not always true. The point is, choose the one you'll actually stick with. The best strategy isn't the smartest on paper. It's the one you follow through on. And as you start knocking out your debts, something amazing happens. You start to feel lighter. You regain a sense of control over your life. And that mental clarity gives you the energy to move forward. Because now, without the chains of high interest dragging you down, you're finally ready to look ahead. And that, my friend, means it's time to talk about the future. Setting financial goals. Now that you've cleared the path, you've figured out where you are and started getting rid of debt, it's time to build what really matters, your financial goals. And here's a truth most people are afraid to say out loud. If you don't know exactly what you want, you'll spend your whole life working for what others want. It's like getting in a car and driving with no destination. So pause everything for a second and be brutally honest with yourself. What do you really want? Write it down. Doodle. Let it all out. Whether it's traveling the world, buying a house, starting a business, retiring in peace, or simply being financially independent, this isn't wishful thinking. This is a plan. With a timeline. Vague goals lead to vague results. That's why you need to categorize each goal based on your timeline. A short term, within 5 years build an emergency fund, upgrade your car, pay off a loan. A midterm, 5 to 15 years launch a business, pay for your kids' education, renovate your home. A long term, 15 plus years retirement, financial freedom, building lasting wealth. This framework changes everything. Because it determines how and where your money should be saved or invested, whether it should be protected with caution or grown with risk. You know that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there? Well, in the money game, any road usually leads to frustration. But with clear goals, you begin to see that there are numbers behind your dreams. Want to save $100,000 in 10 years? You'll need to invest around $470 a month with a 7% annual return. Does that sound tough? Maybe. But now, you know exactly what to do. And that takes you out of hope mode and into action mode. Now think with me. What's been stopping you from writing down your goals? Fear of sounding too ambitious. Fear of failing. Fear of being judged. Forget all that. Big dreams start with small scribbles. Grab your phone or a notebook and write down all your financial goals, even the crazy ones. Then, next to each one, write the deadline. 3 simple columns. Goal: how much it costs, how long it'll take. Just by doing that, you're already ahead of 95% of people. Because unlike the majority, you're dreaming with strategy. And this is the moment when everything starts to make sense. With clear goals, specific timelines, and a plan that matches your reality, you stop living on autopilot. But hold on, because now comes the part that separates the dreamers from the doers. Turning those dreams into measurable actions. And to do that, you'll need a tool that's powerful, practical, and sadly, often overlooked. 12-month budgeting plus monthly check-ins. This is where the game starts getting serious. There's no point in setting amazing financial goals if your day-to-day life is still messy and your money slips through your fingers. Most people don't lack money, they lack strategic planning. And that's where the 12-month budget comes in. A powerful yet often underestimated tool. Why is it so powerful? Because it pulls you out of short-term thinking and makes you think like a well-run business. Looking at the whole year, anticipating expenses, spotting seasonal trends, and preparing in advance, smartly. Let's say you already know that December brings gifts, travel, and year-end bonuses. Why not start saving a little each month for that instead of charging it all to your card and suffering later? That's the power of expense forecasting. When you start the year with a clear annual plan, you can see the curves before you hit them. And to stay on track, you'll need what I call the monthly check-in. A moment once a month to sit down, open your spreadsheet or app, and review how the previous month went. Simple, quick, but transformative. Because here's the truth. What doesn't get measured doesn't get improved. And if budgeting sounds boring to you, let me give you a simple formula that could change everything. 50/30/20. It's a pocket-sized roadmap. 50% of your net income goes to essentials. Rent, food, transport. 30% is for your lifestyle. Fun, restaurants, movies, social life. 20% is for your future self. Savings, investments, or debt payments. If the numbers are off, say you're spending 60% on fun and only 5% on your future. Well, now you know exactly where to adjust. And let me be clear. Adjusting is not punishment. It's freedom. Want a practical example? Say you make $5,000 per month after taxes. Using the 50/30/20 rule, $2,500 would go to essentials. $1,500 for fun. $1,000 to invest, save, or pay off debt. But what if you're already spending $3,000 on housing? Then maybe it's time to renegotiate your lease. Or consider sharing expenses. These choices might sting at first, but they're the ones that build real financial independence. And here's the most amazing part. Over time, this habit of reviewing your budget becomes a personal growth ritual. You start seeing your choices with more maturity. You spot your own patterns, the overspending, the distractions. And that prepares you for the next step, a step few people are ready to take. Making your money work for you with intelligence and purpose. Because saving isn't the finish line. It's the beginning of a transformation. Where to keep your money, savings. Now that you know how much you can save, the question changes. Where should you put that money so it actually works for you? And this is where what I call the interest rate dance begins. Think about it. While your money is sitting in an account earning 0.5% per year, your bank is lending that same money out at 12%, 15%, even 20% interest. That's a silent scandal, and most people don't even notice. They're literally handing over their shot at wealth to institutions that are already wealthy. Putting your money in the right place isn't a luxury. It's basic financial literacy. Start simple. 4 short-term goals, like emergencies, upcoming trips, or predictable expenses. Use accounts with daily liquidity and decent returns. Some digital banks now offer 100% of the CDI, Brazil's benchmark rate, or more. If you don't need that money right away, consider locked-in accounts like CDBs with 90-day terms in Brazil, or certificates of deposit, CDs, if you're in the US. The secret is aligning the right account to the right goal. Emergency money should never be locked away. And please, stop accepting whatever your traditional bank offers you. Do your homework. Use comparison tools, research investment platforms. Digital banks and platforms like Nubank, Inter, Safisa, Banco BS2, or Clear offer much better options. We're talking 3% to 4% annual returns, versus the sad 0.1% from old-school savings accounts. That 1% difference might not sound like much, but on a $20,000 emergency fund, it could be enough to cover a surprise medical bill, car repair, or even a course that changes your life. Now picture your money like an army. Some soldiers are on the front line, ready for action, quick access. Others stay back, growing slowly, safely. Each goal needs its own strategy. You know what the biggest mistake is? Leaving the entire army asleep, earning 0.1%, like they're on vacation forever. You worked hard for that money. Now it's time for it to work hard for you. That's the beginning of real financial independence. And here's the best part. You don't have to be a finance expert. You just need to be proactive. Start today. Open a second digital bank account with decent returns. Move part of your emergency fund there. Track your growth. Over time, this becomes second nature. And then, a quiet question will start echoing in your mind. Okay, so when do I start really investing? When should you start investing? There's a phrase that echoes in the minds of the wise. The best day to start investing was yesterday. The second best is today. But before you go buying stocks or crypto like you're grabbing concert tickets, hold up. Investing is like building a house. You can't put up the roof if the foundation's still soft. So the first step is simple but powerful. Save 1 full month of your essential expenses. This is your emotional and financial safety net. If life hits you with a curveball, that money keeps you standing. Once you've got that breathing room, it's time for step 2. Wipe out the debts that are dragging you down, especially the ones with interest above 8% per year. Why? Because a safe investment probably won't beat that return. So paying off these debts is actually the best ROI you can get right now. Need an example? If your credit card charges 12% per month, that's over 250% per year. Not even Warren Buffett could save your portfolio from numbers like that. So treat those debt payments like the most important investment of your life. Now comes the fun part. Once you've saved that first month and cleared the high-interest debts, you're ready to walk on 2 feet. 1. Keep building your emergency fund. 2. Start investing for the long term, both at the same time. Don't wait for everything to be perfect to begin. You can start, for example, by putting 70% of your monthly surplus into your emergency fund and the other 30% into long-term investments. That makes the process lighter, more sustainable, and way more motivating. You'll start to see your net worth grow, and with it, that long-awaited feeling of financial freedom. Wondering where to invest first? Start with the basics. Government bonds, high-liquidity CDBs, index funds like BOVA 11 or IVVB 11. Want to go global? Look into S&P 500, NASDAQ, or REITs. You don't need to be bold right away. You just need to be consistent. Build a strategy that matches your risk tolerance and life stage. Because the truth is, there's no one right investment for everyone. But there is a right investment for you right now. And that's when you stop surviving and start growing. Then, a new question will start to rise. Exactly how much do I need to invest to hit my goals? That's where things get really interesting. How to calculate how much you need to invest to reach your goals. Now that you've taken your first steps into investing, it's time to bring out the ruler, calculator, and that inner dream engineer mindset. 'Cause yes, dreams are built with numbers. Here's the big secret. Every financial goal must be broken down into 3 elements: value, time frame, and expected return. Let's say your goal is to save $50,000 in 10 years. You'll need to invest roughly $300 per month, assuming a 7% annual return. Sounds magical. It's not. It's just basic math applied consistently. And the best part, there are free online calculators that can do this for you in seconds. This process is called goal-based financial planning. Here's how it works. 1. You define the goal. 2. Estimate the total cost. Even a ballpark number based on real research is okay. 3. Choose your deadline. 4. Estimate a realistic annual return. From that, you'll find out how much you need to invest each month, or how much you'd need upfront. Now here's a truth most people don't admit. You'll probably hit a gap, the difference between what you need to invest and what you can invest. But don't panic, that gap isn't a dead end. Just one more puzzle piece. Let's say you want $500,000 in 25 years, but you can only invest $700 per month. And the ideal would be $1,000 per month. What can you do? You've got options. Extend your timeline. Maybe reach the goal in 28 years instead of 25. Aim for a slightly higher return with more risk. Add a bigger upfront investment now. Flexibility is the secret. Investing is a game of fine-tuning. And when you understand the numbers, you stop relying on luck or, let's see what happens. You start playing the game like a true strategist. Here's another smart tip. Run multiple simulations for the same goal. A conservative scenario, a realistic one, and an optimistic one. This gives you emotional control and clearer decision-making. Use spreadsheets, apps, financial dashboards, or even pen and paper. But track everything. Visualize it. Keeps your motivation alive. You'll start to realize, yes, it is possible. Not with luck, but with structure, strategy, and the courage to keep going. And once you master this way of thinking, your mind shifts completely. Every dollar you earn now has a destination, purpose. It knows exactly where it's going, and so do you. But here's the thing. Knowing how much to invest is only half the equation. Now it's time to understand how to invest the right way. Using the right tools with the right strategy aligned with your goals and your timeline. And that is what's waiting for you in the next step. Building a personalized investment strategy. Investing isn't about copying what your neighbor is doing. It's about building a strategy that respects who you are, and where you want to go. The first step is understanding this. Your investment portfolio should match your age, your risk tolerance, and your stage of life. A 25-year-old, for example, can put 80% into equities and just 20% in fixed income, because they've got plenty of time to bounce back from market drops. But someone who's 55 might flip that ratio. That's what we call life cycle portfolio adjustment. To make it simple, here's a quick rule of thumb. Take your age, round it up to the nearest multiple of 5, and subtract 10. That's roughly the percentage you should have in bonds or other low-risk investments. The rest goes into growth-focused assets like stocks, ETFs, REITs, or even crypto, if that fits your profile. It's not a magic formula, but it's a great starting point for building a well-balanced portfolio. Now here's a big red flag. Beware of concentration risk. A lot of people, especially those who work at companies that offer stock options, end up holding a large chunk of their net worth in just one company's stock. May feel loyal, but it's risky. If that company goes under, you lose your job and your money in one blow. So if you're holding a lot of stock from where you work, start diversifying. It's not cowardice, it's financial intelligence. Another crucial point. Know your emotional tolerance for risk. Some people panic when the stock market drops 10%. Others sleep soundly even with 30% swings. There's no right or wrong here. What matters is building a strategy you can actually stick to, without panic, without impulsive decisions. Test your investor profile with simulators. Figure out if you're more comfortable with stocks or bonds. Build a portfolio with assets you understand. And if you don't understand yet, study. Start with books like Smart Investments by Gustavo Cerbasi or The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Once you've built this foundation, you'll start to see that money is just a lever. The one steering the journey is you. With a strategy that's clear, balanced, and tailored to your life, you won't just invest better, you'll sleep better. But before thinking about buying Tesla stock or diving into high-risk funds, maybe it's time to answer a much simpler and more urgent question. That car you've been thinking about trading in, is it really a smart financial move? How to buy a car the smart way. Few things drain your wallet more silently than a poorly chosen car. It's what I call a phantom asset. It looks like you own something valuable, but in reality, it's just a money-eating machine. A car isn't an investment, it's an expense, and one of the biggest financial decisions people make without thinking it through. So before you walk into any dealership, keep two rules in mind: the 25 to 35% rule, the 20/4/10 rule. These are your shields against emotional decisions disguised as needs. Let's break it down. First, the car you buy should cost no more than 25 to 35% of your annual gross income. If you make $60,000 a year, your ideal car should cost between $15,000 and $21,000. Period. No, but I deserve it. No, my neighbor just got a brand new SUV. Second, the April 20th 10 rule protects you even more. 20% down payment. A financing for no more than 4 years. All car-related costs, loan, insurance, maintenance, should be under 10% of your monthly net income. It's simple, practical, and incredibly effective in preventing you from becoming a slave to your car. Now here's the golden tip. If you don't have that 20% down payment yet, or if the monthly cost blows up your budget, buy a used car in cash, using the money you'd put down on a new one. It might not be the prettiest car on the block, but it'll give you peace of mind, financial breathing room, and, most importantly, protect you from interest that kills your wealth. Remember the principle of delayed gratification. You're sacrificing status now to gain real freedom later. And freedom, my friend, is worth more than any fancy touchscreen dashboard. Also, always calculate the total cost of ownership. Tax, insurance, maintenance, fuel, depreciation, it all adds up. The monthly payment might look manageable, but can you afford the full package? Many people look only at the installment amount and forget that a $50,000 car could cost them over $80,000 in 5 years, once you include interest and ongoing expenses. So do the math. Use financial calculators, simulate scenarios. A good car can take you far, but the wrong car can park your finances for years. Finally, don't fall for dealership tricks. They'll always ask, how much can you afford per month? That question is a trap. Your answer should be, what's the total cost? That's the mindset of someone who truly understands financial education. And once you get that principle, you'll start applying the same logic to other big decisions in life. Like, for example, is it better to buy or rent your home? Should you buy or rent a home? This is, without a doubt, one of the biggest and most misunderstood financial decisions in anyone's life. A lot of people grow up hearing, renting is just throwing money away. But they don't realize that buying the wrong property can be just as bad, or even worse. The truth is, both buying and renting can be smart, or disastrous. It all depends on your life stage, your financial outlook, your ability to make a down payment, and most importantly, what you'd do with your money if you didn't buy. That's called opportunity cost, and it changes everything. Let's get real. Buying a home involves way more than the sticker price. You've got the down payment, usually 20% of the total price. And then come the sunk costs. Taxes, closing fees, notary and legal fees, appraisal costs, realtor commissions. And let's not forget the mortgage interest, which, over 20 or 30 years, could easily double or even triple the original price you saw in the ad. Oh, and now maintenance is your job too. Congrats, it's your house now. And what if you need to move? Selling a home isn't like selling a bike. Takes time, paperwork, patience, and sometimes loss. Renting, on the other hand, gives you flexibility, mobility, and cost predictability. You pay, you live, and when you want to move, you move. No need to stress about roofs, leaks, renovations, or property taxes. It's an ideal setup for people in transition, or for those who'd rather put their money into higher return investments than real estate. Example: let's say you've got $20,000 saved up for a down payment. Instead of putting it into a house, you invest it in the S&P 500 ETF for 10 years with an average return of 8%. By the end, you'd have over $43,000. That's a big difference from seeing that money disappear into bricks and mortar. But hold on, buying also has its upside. Some people crave emotional stability. They want to settle down, decorate, renovate, build a space that's 100% theirs. And that's priceless. If the emotional value outweighs the financial one, and you have a solid plan, go for it. Just make sure you're buying for yourself, not because your family says so, or because someone told you it's a good deal, but because you've compared options, done the math, and you're confident it fits into your long-term goals, and into your 50/30/20 budget. Whatever you decide, buy or rent, do it with financial clarity. Use simulators. Compare scenarios. Ask yourself how long you're planning to stay in that home, and whether the investment really pays off over time. The right decision is the one that makes you feel free, not trapped. Because at the end of the day, your dream home can be a blessing, or a prison with a mortgage. Now what? You've made it this far, and something powerful just happened. You now have clarity, goals, and the right tools. All that's missing is action. So let me ask you honestly, now that you've seen everything they never taught you about money, are you going to keep living on autopilot? Or for the first time, are you going to take full control of your financial life? Because the only difference between those who achieve and those who only dream is one word: action. You already have the knowledge. You've seen how wealth is actually built. You know that freedom isn't about how much you make. It's about how you manage what you already have. So, what are you going to do now? Will you write down your financial goals? Update that old budget? Start building your emergency fund? Or finally stop being afraid of the word invest? The choice is yours. But I'll tell you this: the longer you wait, the bigger the gap grows between where you are and where you want to be. And let me ask you one last thing. Are you truly satisfied with your financial life today? The answer is no. Good. Because discomfort is the first spark of change. But real change, that only comes with action. So if this video challenged you, taught you something new, or brought you clarity, do this now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because here, you'll keep learning in a way that's clear, practical, and real. And remember, there's no freedom greater than knowing you can pay your bills, achieve your dreams, and still build the future you deserve. All with strategy. And that, nobody's going to hand that to you. You're going to build it, step by step, starting today.